What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video I'm going to try and answer one simple question. Is the iPad Pro too big? At 12.9 inches, the iPad Pro is Apple's biggest tablet to date, and it's also Apple's biggest product that supports multi-touch. To put it into perspective, here it is stacked up against some familiar products: the iPhone 5S, the iPhone 6S, the iPhone 6S Plus, and the 15-inch MacBook Pro. Now, these comparisons are great, but it's hard to tell just how giant this thing is until you use it for the first time. And using it is where you really start to notice its size. If you own an iPad mini or even an iPad Air, you know that those devices can pretty much be used comfortably with one hand, but that's simply not the case with the iPad Pro. It's really pretty hard to handle in general when it's not sitting right at your desk. It's not particularly heavy, it's just over 1 pound, but the overall area of the iPad Pro just doesn't make it practical to use on the go. Typing is particularly awkward if you find yourself without anything to rest it on, and navigating around iOS just feels like you're waving your arm all over the place. It's just kind of a lot of screen to deal with, and a lot of apps, even some of Apple's own apps, display a lot of wasted space or empty space. Screen real estate isn't really utilized all that well, so you're constantly bouncing all around the screen from top to bottom while using it. Resting it on your desk or propping it up using a stand or third-party accessory, or the official Apple keyboard if they ever decide to get them in stock, is pretty much the best way to use the iPad Pro. With the screen being about the same size as Apple's MacBook and 13-inch MacBook Pro, I can definitely see its practicality if you ever thought the iPad Air was a little too small for your liking. And like I mentioned, an added external keyboard is kind of the finishing touch that the iPad Pro needs. Now, with all the complaints out of the way, let's talk about what the iPad Pro's size does right. Multitasking on the iPad Pro makes a lot more sense. At this size, it's almost like having two iPad minis side by side, and working in two apps feels great, and it'll be even better when more third-party apps gain multitasking support. Picture-in-picture also makes a lot more sense on the iPad Pro, but I would have liked to see that secondary picture be a little bit bigger now. The iPad Pro is also a media streaming machine. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, YouTube, and anything else you want to watch looks great, and it beats having to watch it on your iPhone or laptop. Again, the iPad mini and iPad Air are just as good, and it might be a little better for some people, but if you want as big a screen as possible while still being relatively mobile, this is definitely a good choice. And like Apple has advertised, professionals, particularly in the art and animation world, will definitely enjoy the iPad Pro's massive screen. Again, if Apple ever gets around to shipping the Apple Pencil, the iPad Pro will definitely be a nice tool. So with all that being said, let's go back to the original question. Is the iPad Pro too big? In my opinion, the 12.9-inch screen is nice. It looks amazing, and streaming media or typing up a Word document is a lot better on a bigger screen. But aside from things just being bigger, the iPad Pro's increased screen size doesn't really offer any new or resounding features. You can't really do any more than if you were just using an iPad Air, and the sacrifices you make with mobility and ease of use mean that the iPad Pro's massive screen size isn't for everybody. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people will love how huge the iPad Pro is, but I think most people will find it impractical, or at least unnecessary, given the fact that it doesn't offer anything new or different. That's also due to the limitations of iOS, but I'll save that rant for my full iPad Pro review in a few days. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know what you think of the iPad Pro in the comments below. Also, be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.